From the dawn of civilization, history has been forged in the crucible of conflict, shaped not by the masses, but by the will of a select few. These are the commanders, the strategists, the leaders whose genius, ambition, and audacity redrew the maps of the world. They were masters of the battlefield, architects of empires, and titans of their age. Their names echo through the corridors of time. Alexander, who wept for there were no more worlds to conquer. Caesar, whose legions carved an empire from Gaul to Egypt. Genghis Khan, whose horsemen thundered across continents, uniting the largest contiguous land empire in history. But what truly separated these legends from ordinary men? Was it sheer tactical brilliance, unwavering charisma, or a ruthless will to power? How did Hannibal, with his elephants and ragtag army, bring the mighty Roman Republic to its knees? What strategies allowed Napoleon, a minor Corsican noble, to crown himself emperor and dominate Europe? What were the pivotal decisions, the gambles, the strokes of genius that turned the tide of battle and altered the course of human destiny? Welcome to the Commander's Archive. Here, we don't just recount tales of conquest, we dissect them. We march into the minds of the greatest military leaders ever to live, analyzing their strategies, comparing their legacies, and uncovering the secrets behind their most decisive victories and catastrophic defeats. We will stand with Wellington at Waterloo, sail with Nelson at Trafalgar, and ride with Saladin into Jerusalem. Join us as we unlock the war chests of the past, explore the art of command, and understand the figures who commanded armies, conquered kingdoms, and built legacies that have endured for centuries. This is the ultimate chronicle of military leadership, the stories of triumph and tragedy, of strategy and sacrifice. This is the Commander's Archive. Subscribe now and let the campaigns begin. Who was the ultimate ancient badass? Alexander the Great, the boy wonder who conquered the known world before he turned 30? Or Julius Caesar, the political mastermind who wrestled Rome from a republic into an empire? Forget what you learned in history class. Today, we're putting these two titans in the ring for a no-holds-barred showdown. This isn't just about battles won, it's about strategy, ambition, and the sheer, terrifying genius that made them legends. By the end of this, you'll know which one of these ruthless conquerors would truly make you cry blood. Let's start with the wunderkind, Alexander. Imagine this. You're 20 years old. Your dad, a king, gets assassinated. What do? Most of us would be lost. Alexander. He solidified his power, crushed rebellions across Greece, and then set his sights on the biggest empire on the planet, Persia. This wasn't just ambitious, it was insane. The Persian Empire was a behemoth, stretching from Egypt to India, with armies that massively outnumbered his own. But Alexander had a secret weapon, his brain. At the Battle of Gaugamela, he faced a Persian army that some historians say was 5 times the size of his. Their king, Darius III, had scythe chariots designed to shred infantry. It was a death trap. Any normal commander would have played it safe. Not Alexander. He saw a weakness. He advanced his army at an angle, baiting the Persian cavalry out of position. It was a high-risk, high-reward gamble. As the Persian lines stretched and a gap opened near the center, Alexander personally led his elite companion cavalry in a wedge formation, straight for Darius himself. It was like a surgical strike aimed at the enemy's heart. Darius, seeing this whirlwind of bronze and fury coming right for him, panicked and fled. The king ran. The army crumbled. It was a masterclass in audacity and tactical genius. Alexander didn't just conquer, he absorbed. He founded over 20 cities, many named Alexandria, spreading Greek culture, language, and ideas across his vast new empire. This created the Hellenistic world, a fusion of Greek and Eastern cultures that shaped civilization for centuries. He was more than a general. He was a visionary, a cultural architect. But his ambition was a fire that consumed everything, including himself. He pushed his army to the very edges of the known world, into India, where they faced war elephants and monsoon rains. His men, exhausted after years of constant marching and fighting, finally refused to go further. This unstoppable force had finally met an immovable object, the limits of human endurance. Alexander, heartbroken, had to turn back. He died in Babylon at just 32, a victim of fever, or perhaps something more sinister. His empire, built on his personal genius, fractured almost immediately after his death. He was a brilliant, blazing meteor that burned out far too soon. Now, let's shift gears 2 centuries later to a different kind of predator, Gaius Julius Caesar. Caesar wasn't born a king. He was a Roman aristocrat, but he had to claw his way up through a treacherous political system. Rome was a snake pit of rival senators and ambitious generals. To survive, you needed to be smarter, more cunning, and more ruthless than everyone else. And Caesar was all of those things. His defining military campaign wasn't a quick, flashy conquest. It was a brutal 9-year slog through Gaul, modern-day France. The Gallic tribes were fierce, independent warriors fighting on their home turf. Caesar's conquest was a masterclass in divide and conquer. He'd support one tribe against another, make alliances, and then break them when it suited him. He was a political general, using diplomacy and treachery as effectively as his legions. And when diplomacy failed, he was terrifying. At the siege of Alesia, Caesar faced a nightmare scenario. He was besieging the Gallic chieftain Vercingetorix inside a fortress. But then, a massive Gallic relief army arrived, trapping Caesar's army between the fortress and the new enemy. The Romans were now the ones besieged. What did Caesar do? He ordered his men to build 2 massive lines of fortifications, one facing in towards the fortress to keep Vercingetorix pinned down, and another facing out to defend against the relief army. It was an incredible feat of military engineering, building miles of walls, ditches, and watchtowers under constant threat. For weeks, the Romans fought a war on 2 fronts, repelling attacks from both sides. In the end, it was Caesar's discipline and engineering that won. The relief army broke, and a starving Vercingetorix was forced to surrender. Caesar didn't just defeat his enemies, he outbuilt and outthought them in the most impossible circumstances. But Caesar's true genius was political. After conquering Gaul, the Senate in Rome, fearing his power and popularity, ordered him to disband his army. Caesar knew that if he returned to Rome as a private citizen, his political enemies would destroy him. So he made a fateful choice. He led his 13th legion across the Rubicon River, the legal boundary of Italy. This was an act of treason, a declaration of civil war. His famous quote, "Alea Iacta est," the die is cast, perfectly captures the moment. He was betting everything on one final audacious move. He crushed his rivals, most notably his former ally Pompey the Great, in a series of swift campaigns across the globe. He chased Pompey to Greece, Spain, and finally Egypt. He returned to Rome not just as a victorious general, but as the undisputed master of the Roman world. He enacted reforms, restructured the calendar, that's why we have July for Julius, and was declared dictator for life. But his ambition was his downfall. A group of senators, fearing he would declare himself king and end the Republic forever, assassinated him on the Ides of March. Unlike Alexander's, however, Caesar's legacy was permanent. His actions destroyed the old Roman Republic and paved the way for his heir, Augustus, to establish the Roman Empire, which would dominate the Western world for the next 500 years. So, who wins? Alexander was the ultimate tactical prodigy, a force of nature who conquered a continent with breathtaking speed. His battles were works of art, but his empire was fragile, built around his own personality. It was a magnificent sandcastle that washed away when the tide of his life went out. Caesar was the master strategist, not just on the battlefield, but in the political arena. He was a patient, calculating predator. He didn't just win wars, he won a civilization. His legacy wasn't just a conquered territory, it was the foundation of an empire that defined Western history. Alexander's genius was like a lightning strike, brilliant, powerful, and over in a flash. Caesar's genius was like an earthquake, slower, more grinding, but it permanently reshaped the landscape. So, who would make you cry blood? Alexander would defeat you in a single, glorious, terrifying afternoon. Caesar would spend years turning your allies against you, building walls around you, and patiently waiting for you to starve before he moved in for the kill. Alexander's end is swift and brilliant. Caesar's is slow, methodical, and inescapable. Who do you think was the greater ruthless genius? Let me know your verdict in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this historical showdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next dive into history's most fascinating figures. See you next time.